Is Grammarly worth it? And how can it help you write and edit more effectively? Hi there, my name is Brian Collins and welcome to the Become a Writer Today show. In this updated Grammarly review, I'm going to walk you through exactly how I use Grammarly as part of my writing workflow every day. And I'm also going to answer the question, is it worth upgrading from the free version of Grammarly to the latest version? Now, I hope you like the content. If you do, hit thumbs up. And if you want to get my latest video, don't forget to press subscribe. Grammarly has been around since 2009. It's changed a lot since then. Now, I started using the free version of Grammarly back in 2015. After a few months, I upgraded to the premium version, and these days I use the business version of Grammarly to edit my writing and also to edit articles by other writers who write for my site and several other websites that I run. If you're not familiar with Grammarly, it can help you improve your writing in several different ways. The main thing Grammarly does is fix grammar and punctuation mistakes in your articles, in your blog posts, in your emails, social media copy, and even book chapters. I've used it for all of those types of writing. Grammarly also includes a robust spell checker, which will find and fix more errors than you'll traditionally catch with the inbuilt spell checker in your writing app of choice. Now, the premium version of Grammarly also has some additional writing tools, which I find quite helpful. It has a readability score, which will help you write something that's more engaging for your readers. It can also help you edit a piece of writing based on your preferred style and audience. And you can also use a writing assistant, and I'll show you how that works in a moment, to make edits to your articles with a click. I also like the editing reports inside of Grammarly because you can download a report and send it to another writer on your team and ask them to fix it, even if they don't have an account. The premium version of Grammarly also has a plagiarism checker, and I use the plagiarism checker quite a lot to check articles that freelancers submit to me and also to check my own articles for instances of inadvertent plagiarism. Let's say I've forgotten to cite something properly. Now, you may be wondering, who is Grammarly ideal for? Well, the answer is it's good for almost all types of writers. If you're a blogger, if you're a freelance writer, content marketer, copywriter, journalist, author, student, academic, or essayist, it can help you find and fix errors faster than the inbuilt spell checker in your writing app of choice. Now, I'm going to go over to Grammarly and show you some of the reports and tools that I use every day. Now, I'm on a Mac, and for the purposes of this video, I've downloaded the desktop version of Grammarly for Mac. Don't worry, if you're on Windows, there's also a Windows version. And if you don't want to download an app to your computer, you can simply use the web app to do everything I'm about to show you on screen. So this is what the Grammarly app looks like for Mac. The Windows version has a similar type of interface, and I can see all of the documents that I've written and published over the past few months inside of the app. If I've written in Word or another writing app of choice, I can simply click import and Grammarly will upload it for editing. But what I like to do is write in my writing app of choice. It could be Scrivener, it could be Ulysses or IA Writer, and then I'll copy and paste the text into the Grammarly app. Once I paste the text into Grammarly, it'll scan the document for typos, mistakes, and other issues. But to explain how this works, I'm going to talk through some of the reports that Grammarly has. Basically, it's powered by an AI writing assistant, which is more advanced than your typical spelling or grammar checker. The first thing you're going to click on is the overall score. And this will give you a score between 0 and 100, which will tell you how easy or difficult the article is and how many issues it has. This is great if you're working with other writers on your team because it can help you check an article quickly before you decide if you want to work with them. Even if you're working on something for an editor or for another publication, you can see the word count of your article, how many sentences you have, the reading and speaking time. Now, I particularly like the readability score because this tells me how engaging the article is and whether readers will be able to understand it. Basically, your readability score should be as low as possible if you're writing any type of online content. So this is age 13 to 14, which tells me that most audiences online will be able to understand this article. But if you've written an article and it's got lots of technical jargon, people will find it confusing, and you really need to ask yourself, how can I edit and simplify my work so it's more engaging for readers? And this is where Grammarly excels. If you're reviewing an article by somebody else, you can download this report and send it to them and ask them to go away and fix it. Now let's cover some of the reports inside of the Grammarly desktop app so you can see how it'll help you edit your own writing. Grammarly has 5 different reports which you'll want to click through and review. Before we get into any of these reports, it's helpful to set goals for your writing, particularly if it's a longer piece or a longer article. So go over to the goals section, pick your audience and determine whether it's general, knowledgeable or expert. Generally, you'll aim for general or knowledgeable unless you're writing technical documentation. Next, determine the formality of your piece of writing. Grammarly will default to neutral, but if you feel you're writing something that's a bit more friendly or engaging for social media, you can change to informal. You could also pick the domain of your piece of writing. Is it academic? Is it business? You could also determine the tone. So what do you want the writing to sound like? And the intent of your writing. Now, not all of these suggestions impact dramatically on the results that you'll get from the Grammarly Checker, which I'll show you in a moment, but they do help Grammarly assess what it should fix in your article versus what it should ignore. So I'd only spend a few seconds doing this, and I don't do this for every piece of writing that I check. I normally just use the default settings and that works fine for me. But if you haven't used Grammarly much, then I'd take a few moments to get familiar with the goals section inside of Grammarly because it'll help you figure out how to get more value from the app. The first report that you're going to spend time using is the Correctness report. This is where Grammarly will flag the grammar mistakes and punctuation mistakes inside of your work. Click on the Correctness report and it'll filter through all of these mistakes just to focus on correctness. Now what you do is review these one by one and decide what you want to accept or reject. So Grammarly is saying here that I've forgotten to put in a comma after NFTs. So this is why I like Grammarly, because I can just click this and add the comma with a click. And what I would do is work through all of these suggestions and ask myself, do they make sense? Grammarly has also flagged a potential spelling error here. It said I'm using the US version of the word collectible. And that's because I've set Grammarly to US English for the purposes of this review. But I actually mostly write in British English, and this is why this issue is being flagged. In this case, I'm just going to ignore this suggestion by clicking the dismiss button. And what I would do is work through all of these suggestions while editing my article. And I'll figure out which ones make sense to accept versus reject. This is a key question I get about Grammarly all the time. Should you just accept all of the suggestions? Well, while Grammarly is quite accurate and powered by AI technology, you still need to use a bit of common sense. What are you writing? Who is it for? And do you want to have something that's informal in your writing, or do you want to follow every grammar rule? Because it's up to you to make a decision whether you want to accept or reject a suggestion inside of Grammarly. Although you'll get over 90% accuracy, don't expect 100% accuracy all of the time. So please use your own best judgment. It's perfect for shorter pieces of work like a blog post, like an article or a book chapter. But for something really long, I'd still recommend working with a human proofreader as well, or using your own best judgment. Now, once you've worked through all of these correctness reports, chances are your article is in good shape and probably ready to go. But you can take editing one step further with the next report. The next report that I use quite a lot is the clarity report. And this is where I can really see parts of my writing that I need to edit and improve if I want to give it a bit of polish. Grammarly will find instances of the passive voice. And if you're new to writing, the passive voice is a weak type of writing that bores readers. So in this case, it's flagged the passive voice, and I probably want to rewrite this sentence. So it says dozens of new NFT projects are also launched. So I could say something like project owners launch dozens of new NFTs. Sometimes Grammarly will provide this copy for me. In other cases, I'll need to actually do the rewriting myself. It's pointed out an errant phrase that is probably unnecessary in this piece of writing. So I can just click this to remove the phrase. It's also given me some instances of the passive voice that I probably want to consider in the article. And it's pointed out some additional errant phrases as well. What I would do is work through all of these suggestions and figure out which ones I want to accept versus reject. And it only takes a few minutes, but it'll help you get your article to the next level. The next report that you're going to use quite a lot if you want to get value from Grammarly is the engagement report. And this basically reviews the readability of your writing based on imprecise sentences and clunky language. Think of it as like a souped up version of the Hemingway app, which is popular with many writers. Basically, it's going to find words that you can replace with more precise language. So I've said here it's exceptionally difficult to figure out. Grammarly is suggesting I should reduce this to it's tough to figure out or it's challenging to figure out. And basically that's not going to change the meaning of the sentence, but it's going to reduce the word count slightly, which is something that I want. And it's also pointed out some words which don't add much to the piece. So again, I'll review all of these suggestions and ask myself which ones make sense versus which ones do I want to keep. And this is where you're going to consider your own writing style or the style of the person who wrote the article in question. The next report is one I don't use as much. It's the delivery report, and this will help you find diplomatic language and other sentences and words that you could potentially change. So I've said here, don't keep them in an accessible place. And I was describing NFTs for this technical article, Grammarly suggesting I could sound more diplomatic if I add the word please. Personally, I don't think that's adds much to the piece, so I'm going to dismiss that one. It also points out split infinitives and other issues that I could potentially fix, but they're certainly not showstoppers, and it wouldn't prevent me from pressing publish or submit with this article. Those are the key 4 reports that you'll use inside of Grammarly. You may be looking at this one called Style Guide. I'm wondering how come I can't see that inside of my Grammarly account. I'm going to explain why. I'm using the business version of Grammarly, which is an advanced version of Grammarly Premium. One of the key features it has is a style guide. This is something you'll only probably use if you're working with a lot of other freelance writers. But basically, it enables me to add custom words, terms, and language to a style guide, which Grammarly will flag inside of the app. So for example, if your company has an unusual name, you could put this into the style guide and Grammarly will flag it anytime somebody uses the wrong capitalization with your company name or with your product name, or anytime anybody misspells it. As an example, I wrote a book called The Art of Writing a Non-Fiction Book. And in this book title, I have a hyphen between non and fiction. However, Grammarly sometimes flags that non-fiction should be one word. So in this case, I've added it to the custom style guide so the book isn't misspelled on the website. And you can upload dozens of words or rules into the style guide if you're working with other writers. But again, this is probably an advanced feature that only small business owners are going to use. There are many grammar checkers on the market today, but this is one of the reasons why I really like Grammarly. It enables me to find and fix errors faster than traditional grammar checkers thanks to AI. So this is one of the new additions that I really love. I can review and accept multiple suggestions at once. So you can see here Grammarly has flagged 11 suggestions in this different article which I've opened, and I can just click all and accept them, or I can bin the ones that don't make sense. So if I'm going to scan through these, at a first glance, they all make sense except for this one here, because the correct word is wearable. I'm referring to an NFT marketplace, so I'm going to dismiss this. Now I can accept all of these suggestions at once in the document, and this will help me get a piece ready for publication much faster. The other Grammarly report or premium report that I use quite a lot is the inbuilt plagiarism checker. I use this in several different ways. So I'll paste my article into Grammarly and I'll click plagiarism, and it'll take a minute to scan online to find instances of where this copy or this article is potentially used. Now in this case, it's flagged that 88% of this text matches this source, which is actually my personal website. So in this case, it's not plagiarism. But I find that this is helpful for a couple of different reasons. Firstly, if I have a quote or an interesting statistic or an idea, but I've forgotten the link, I can paste it into the plagiarism detector and get the link and properly attribute my work. Secondly, if I've paraphrased somebody, but I've maybe not paraphrased them correctly, I've just copied what they said, I can avoid instances of inadvertent or accidental plagiarism. Now, I often commission new freelance writers to write for Become a Writer Today and some other sites that I run. It can be difficult to figure out if a new freelance writer is somebody you're going to work with over the long term. So when somebody applies for a role, what I will do is paste their work into Grammarly and run it through the plagiarism checker to do a quick sense check. It only takes a few seconds to run a plagiarism report on your writing or writing by somebody else, and it can really help you avoid the consequences of plagiarism, accidental or otherwise. Grammarly excels with this suite of apps and plugins it has for almost every browser and probably writing software that you're going to use. You can install a plugin for Chrome, Safari, Firefox and Microsoft Edge. And I recommend starting with the Chrome plugin if you want to try Grammarly for yourself. You can use the Chrome plugin with Google Docs or while writing an email to find and fix mistakes. So I have here an article that a freelance writer has submitted to me. It's a review of some project management software. I've also installed the Grammarly plugin for Chrome. And when I click on this, I can change from British English to American English, and I can adjust some of the other settings. I can also create a new document directly inside of the Grammarly web app by clicking this plugin, and I could paste the writer's text in here to check it and go through all of the reports. However, in this case, I'm going to use the Grammarly plugin for Chrome. And to do this, I'll just click on the G here, and this is free to try out. I'll click yes, check it, and Grammarly will take a few moments to scan through the article. Then it'll give me a score, and I'm going to click on the score, and the sidebar will pop up. And now I can work through all of these changes and decide what to accept, what to reject, and what to ask the writer to fix versus what I should fix myself. This is fantastic if you write a lot in Google Docs. The Grammarly plugin works quite similarly in Microsoft Word and also in your email app of choice. And this is probably the best way you're going to get a flavor for how Grammarly works. Grammarly also has keyboard apps which don't have all of the functionality that you see here, but that will find and fix mistakes, and they're available on iOS and Android as well. By now you may be wondering, do I need the free version of Grammarly or the premium version, or should I consider the business version? Here's my take. If you're a new writer on a budget, the free version is just fine. It'll help you find and fix more errors, spelling, grammar, and punctuation in your work than a traditional inbuilt spelling or grammar checker. And you can use it without issue on your work. If you're a writer who's writing professionally for a living, or if you publish a lot of content online, then I'd recommend upgrading to the premium version. It includes everything in the free version plus the plagiarism checker and some 400 plus additional checks, some of which are covered here. Not only that, but it'll also help you learn more about grammar. To show you what I mean, I'm going to go back to the Grammarly editor for a moment. I've clicked on an error that Grammarly's flagged, and you can see here it says, at the time of writing, the price was around $3,100, but prices fluctuate. And it's suggesting I change it to fluctuated. And it's also provided context to this change. Now, this context isn't always relevant, but I find if I'm misunderstanding the basic grammar rule, this will give me a bit more information and help me improve my writing skills. To go back to the Grammarly plans, the business version is only really suitable if you feel like you need a style guide because you're collaborating with other writers. If you want to create snippets, that's text which you will reuse repeatedly, which I haven't shown you in this video. And if you also want to share secure access to Grammarly with your team members, and you'll have to pay for that on a per user basis. And that brings me to the Grammarly pricing. So at the time of recording this video, you can get the free version of Grammarly for free. You can get the premium version of Grammarly for approximately $30 a month. But if you take out a quarterly or annual subscription, you can save money on that plan. Not only that, but I've partnered up with Grammarly to get you an exclusive discount. If you visit becomeawritertoday.com/try-Grammarly-today, and I'll put the link in the description, you can get a 20% discount on your subscription. And that is an affiliate link, meaning I'll earn a small commission if you do decide to sign up. And the business version is billed on a per user basis, so that could get quite expensive if you have a big team. So that's something to consider. That covers my Grammarly review. To try it for yourself, I'd recommend installing the version for Chrome or your browser of choice and start checking some of your writing and incorporating it into your writing workflow. When you're ready to upgrade from the free version to the premium version, you can use my affiliate link in the description for this video. Grammarly is a writing tool and grammar checker that I use almost every day, and I couldn't imagine running a content publishing business without it. I hope you liked this Grammarly review. If you've got feedback about the review, please let me know in the comments. Suggestion. If you like the content, I hope you do, hit thumbs up. And to get my latest video, don't forget to press subscribe.